Hi, I'm Brett. Today we've got a video update on the SST transmission that comes out in the Mitsubishi Evo 10 as well as the Lancer Ralliart. And you will have seen some of our other videos where we spoke about this 6-speed semi-automatic clutchless transmission that operates with the wet clutches and the long-term wear and tear requirements of that particular model. And this is the transmission here. Now, this particular transmission we've done a rebuild on, but we wanted to, before we finish putting it back together, show you something that is commonly overlooked. You may not even be aware of it when you're driving the car, or in fact you may have had a rebuild done on your transmission and the workshop maybe didn't mention it to you, and that is the clutch damper assembly. So what I've got here in front of me is sort of a replacement for a dual mass clutch, which is becoming quite popular in modern day cars. And a dual mass clutch is got an input and an output that connects to the engine and allows the drivetrain to move a little bit like that, and it's got a set of really big springs inside it to resist that movement, but they're designed to take out noise, vibration, harshness in the drivetrain between the engine and the transmission. And on this transmission, it's mechanically connected to the crankshaft with a direct input shaft that actually bolts to the crankshaft, and this part here goes into that part there. And that, so from the engine, drives through the damper assembly and into the gearbox. And we'll talk about that thing in a little bit of a minute, about the importance of making sure you get that checked. But what I wanted to show you was the damper assembly, which then connects to the basket of the input side of the clutches. And check out our other video where we show you what the basket looks like when it's all assembled. But have a look at this. So if you let it go, the whole thing rattles. But what actually happens is inside this mechanism here are huge springs. Now the unfortunate part is, and there's a bit that's just fallen out there, the spring fails inside the damper assembly, and then actually what happens is it starts falling out inside the hydraulic wet area of the clutches, and then it does more damage to the clutches as well. So if we put this back together the way it is, there's every chance that the mechanical faults inside this will then damage the repairs and the brand new replacement parts that we've put back together. Now the hard part is, this part you can't buy separately from Mitsubishi. It's not an easy part to get even good quality second hand. From the design point of view, you need to know what you're looking for when it comes to replacing it. So that's the damper assembly. So let's talk about also this part here. Now this particular part that bolts onto the crankshaft and connects the drive, as I spoke to earlier, into the main part of the gearbox. When you've got, and this is a test you can do when you're sitting in your Ralliart or your Evo 10 with this transmission. So if you put it into neutral and just go and lift the bonnet and have a listen to the engine, if you hear this sort of rattling noise or it sounds like something's loose, then there's pretty good chance that the splines on this particular input assembly for between the male and the female fitting actually rattles, or what you may be hearing is a rattle coming from the damper assembly. Either way, Mitsubishi did a super session of that particular part there in the later models to increase the, decrease the tolerance, make it a tighter fit in here to stop that rattling noise that you can hear when the engine is at idle. Now, if you want to confirm that that noise is these components, what you can do is put it into drive and put your foot on the brake pedal. Or then as you take your foot off the brake pedal, what will happen is the transmission will start to load up and the rattle will disappear because this is then driving through the transmission. But when it's in neutral and it's in park, so it must be in park with your foot off the brake pedal or on the brake, it actually doesn't matter because in park it's actually permanently neutral. But what you remember is as you put the transmission in and out of drive, the transmission will start taking load off the engine and the rattle will disappear. But if you've got it in park and you hear that funny rattling noise, then this is some of the things we're talking about. It's either this part here, which is replacement as a superseded part, or you possibly got a loose, noisy damper in your input side of the gearbox. So there you have it, some things to understand about your Mitsubishi semi-automatic 6-speed wet clutch transmission. We do a lot of these rebuilds, so if you're anywhere in Australia, we do receive them from all over Australia and do rebuilds and ship them back, but of course we do them in cars as well, and we know exactly what to look for to give you best advice. Check out our other videos and make some comments on this transmission, because whilst it's not well known, they are a fantastic transmission if they are serviced and looked after properly. There are other tips and tricks that we have spoken about before in the way of warming them up. If you're taking the car to the drag, how to get the best performance out of the gearbox to reduce the slipping in the transmission. We've done another video talking about the teach-in, where you can put the transmission in a special mode where it will automatically program itself to give you better performance. But yeah, check out our other videos. And of course, you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, no matter where you are in the world. My name is Brett Middleton. Thanks for watching.